Okay, so dear Dhamma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body. Keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line, and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring your attention to this bell sound. And while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind, and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra. Just follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened one. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, before we start our session, we'll take a few minutes to understand ourselves, how this practice can help for us to develop our inner awareness, and at the same time, always you have to remember this, all the knowledge or the wisdom, you have to apply it for your day-to-day life. So that's how it become more brush up yourself. Because the Dharma itself means what we hold it to and what we understand and what we practice. So when it comes to reality, it is your own life is your reality. You should not disconnect from it and look something else. The very first level, you have to accept your life as reality, that whatever you experience. And from that point, you have to look into it. But most of time we just try to neglect our own life and we start to look something else. So that's why as a foundation, contentment is very important. Contentment is a kind of like another way that the time and the space and the environment that you are in. So that is the contain. So as example, container. So this house, this place, this everything that contain. So it hold this moment. So I have to be satisfied with it first. That satisfaction we call contentment. So whatever, that wherever you are, whoever you are, you have to first accept it and be satisfied with it. You don't need to hold it to it. But in the first thing is you have to appreciate it and you have to accept it. Accepting and appreciation doesn't mean you take it as permanent. And another way, this not going to be permanent. And another way, then you can think it is better than you appreciate it now. So to appreciate something, it should not be permanent. The very impermanent also help us to become appreciate. Why? Because we know that the time we experience, the things we experience, the environment we experience, the people we experience, not going to be permanent. So that's why the contentment is one of the major important thing when it settle down with your mind. And we don't see it sometimes because we live with it. We look everything else that we don't see it. There were two fish and I had a discussion. So then the one fish asked, how is the water? And the other fish asked, what water? So like that, because when we are in something, we don't see. Same thing happen in day-to-day life. But the practice, the meditation, little by little take you into that level to understand, not things that exist far away. The things exist around you, with you. Recognizing that is the most important thing. And when it comes to that we practice and at the same time we listening and we learning. So you have to little by little need to be matured by practicing and learning, and yourself you have to transform. So how you can do that? As for that, what the Buddha taught, there are 4 methods that you have to always remember while you practice to brush up yourself. Those are that we call 4 reliances. For reliances, that's is sometimes that what we go through, we have to understand to get the right thing, not hold it to the wrong thing. So in that 4 reliances, that the first rely is don't rely on the teacher. Rely on the teachings. So that is one thing. Don't rely on the teacher, rely on the teachings. Because there are many traditions. First, you go with the teacher. And you always try to empathize, sympathize, and make happy the teacher and make the teacher comfortable. Before that, whatever you learn. But in this Buddha's teaching, it doesn't work like that way. You don't need to depend on, rely on the teacher. You should rely on the teachings. That's the important part. It is your responsibility. So look into that again and again, again and again, yourself. And the second one is rely on meaning, not the words or the letters. Because when it comes to that, even in day-to-day life, sometimes people say things, but it has a different meaning. And so if you don't understand it, if you just hold it to the words, you miss the point. So then always you have to have the ability go catch the meaning, not the words. But sometimes in day-to-day life, we fight with the words or the letters. We can't get the meaning. So when it comes to the learning Dharma, you have to develop that skill. Don't try to argue or fight with the words. Try to get the meaning. When it comes to that, to catch the meaning, you have to have a very sharp and clear mind. Otherwise, you can't get it. And sometimes if you have a nature to depend on words, then you're not going to go a little bit deeper to get the meaning. And the third one is, and rely on definitive meanings, not the interpretable meaning. So the definitive meanings means the original, authentic, very standard meaning. Why? Because this, when it comes to this now, maybe you learn through books, reading something, listening to something, and especially when it go to study the Tripitakas or the sutras, this definitive meaning is very important, that to see that what is the exactly authentic original meaning. Why? Because the interpretable meanings can change person to person, and maybe, see that now that most of words that came to society, and now it's became just a kind of like a ordinary vocabulary in day-to-day life because of the science and technology. There are a lot of words add into this our day-to-day life. And even the virus and the immunity system, and because of the satellite communication, internet, and so TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, it was not kind of like 10, 20 years ago, like 50 years ago. But now look, it's just a normal word. So, and at the same time, it's kind of like when it comes to that, if you go with the ordinary level of interpretation, and it depends according to the person capacity and vocabulary and the clarity that have in the mind. But definitive meaning is always authentic, original meaning, standard meaning. If you capable to understand, and rather than whatever the method that you learn or the person you learn, it's not going to become a barrier for you to get into the right understanding. Another thing is, the fourth one is rely on the wisdom, not the conceptuality. So when it comes to life, this conceptuality, the ideas, thoughts, so we more bound to that, and we take life, we take that, those are as kind of like life and the wisdom. We explain how the thoughts happens kind of like that way. But there is a deeper something. Here we try to explain, try to understand that wisdom is what is reality. Because when it comes to that, the reality doesn't work according to the way you think. So then you have to find a method to go beyond that. So if you know this, and then you start to look into a little bit deeper, and you little bit move backward and see, rather than caught up with the ideas or the thoughts or the concepts. Because what you think, not the lives, and what you think, not maybe the right things. But every day we validate our conceptual the experience. So then always rely on the wisdom, not the conceptuality. So those are the 4 things that you always have to rely on. And if you are capable to do that way, what happened by the time you start to little bit more experience something than this ordinary way of experience. If I bring an example, it's kind of like that. You holding a flashlight. You holding flashlight, and now when you put the flashlight to something, you start to experience it in a 3-dimensional way. But if you become the flashlight, not the holder, if you become the flashlight, what happens? That 3-dimension become 2-dimension. The 1-dimension start to disappear. So that our point of view or the way we interpret can create a certain kind of dimensions which we don't recognize. But the wisdom allows you to drop that and release it. So the thing is that in the wisdom level of that dimension, as example, if you are capable to get into the point of view of the flashlight, there's no that 3-dimension and a 2-dimension. So 1-dimension missing. So what that missing dimension does for us, when you become the flashlight holder, you have now 3 dimensions, and the dimension that you have extra rather than the flashlight create all the suffering, unsatisfaction, fear, anxiety, depression, because that is the thought kind of like a dimension. So just imagine if you release the thoughts, that doesn't mean you're going to die. No. If you're not bound to thoughts, even just imagine, just let it happen. Just experience the moment rather than bound to the thoughts, then what will happen? There is some exercise, you say, just imagine, just imagine there is nothing. There is nothing. There is nothing exist. So if you can imagine that doesn't mean you're going to understand something. But if you are capable to at least imagine, you will recognize it's a kind of like a saying, it's a kind of like a very strong medicine for all the unsatisfaction and all the depression and all the fear that you have. This homeopathic, that they have very, 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 very little bit of, amount of medicine for something sometimes. So like that, if you just get the thought to know this everything, there's nothing. Then what happened, that all the struggle that go through in your mind and start to release. For some people it works. But when it comes to the wisdom level, what happened? It's not a kind of like exercise. You come to a point to understand how things come to be as they are. And once you understand it, your point of view going to release that lot of things. But when it's going to rely on the wisdom, it's not easy. So then it is very important in day-to-day life. it's a gradually, little by little, you have to develop it. Why the wisdom disappear most of time sometimes? That all other three things that we rely on the wrong path, then maybe it is very difficult for us to get into the wisdom. So that's why I always rely on not the teacher, always rely on teaching. Remember that. Not rely on the the words, rely on the meaning. And rely on the definitive meaning, not the interpretable meaning. So if you are capable to manage yourself like that, then it will help you to have rely on the wisdom, not the conceptuality. So, and at the same time, in day-to-day life, you have to develop as an attitude that when you see something, when you hear something, when you smell something, when you try to understand something, especially when you try to accept something, take a little bit extra care for that and thoroughly, deeply, vigorously observe it and see, is it profitable or not profitable? So that's become a skill to yourself in day-to-day life even. And sometimes when someone says something, we just say, yes or no. But we don't know what it is. We don't take it very seriously sometimes. But when it comes to the teachings, don't accept anything just the way it is. Don't try to make other people happy and try to accept something, especially when it comes to your spiritual practice. If it doesn't make any sense, you have to stand for that. And you have to correct it. And maybe you didn't understand it very well, then you have to question it and make it very clear. And when you ask the question, if you can find the answer, then you know that. But it's still that if you can't find the answer from that, then don't rely on the teacher. Find another teacher. And you don't rely on the method. Try to find another method. So like that, you have to, like how there's the example what the Buddha said, that goldsmith, how he examine the gold, and brushing, washing, cleaning, touching it, turning it here and there, and sometimes breaking some parts. So you have to examine in every way. So when you look into this wisdom path, so remember yourself. You don't need to just accept anything because somebody else says. And even sometimes we just accept things because it makes sense. So sense means what? Your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So that is conceptual. We just ordinary people. We just, when we come to make sense, we just accept it. But wisdom path is more different. Even though conceptually it is there, you have to deeply, thoroughly observe and see. Because in conventional way, that what we see something not going to be in the eternal level. So that's why even when it comes to the Buddha's whole teaching, and even in our day-to-day life, our personal character, always you have to develop this. The right method to understand things. As a human being, bring some value to your human life. Don't just do things. Don't just believe things. Don't just accept things. Don't be that kind of person. So try to examine yourself. So that will help you to understand beyond your conceptual level of experience. And when you're capable to understand that, and that will show you the very reality happening within you. And when it comes to that understanding, you are more capable to handle whatever happening in you. But most of time today, when we go with the outside incidents, situations, what happened? When something happened inside us, we can't handle it. We don't know how to handle it. But with the outside, we know how to do that. What's the point? So then this path, this practice will help you to gain that inner mechanism, inner wisdom, how to handle that inside situations. It is not with the blind faith, but by knowingly yourself, again and again, observing, recognizing. And then when you recognize that way, what happened that your perspective going to change, and the way you recognize, the way you understand your point of view going to change, and that change will change your actions, and that actions will change your reactions, and that reactions will change your result. But if you hold it to the same point of view, what happened? We always go beyond the moment, jump beyond the moment. And another way it called kind of like that overdoing. And when you have to do something right now, right here in this very moment, without doing that, if you try to do something else, it's kind of like overdoing. So that is what's happening in day-to-day life. So it is a kind of like a disease. No, that the people are addicted to overdoing. And when a situation comes, they bring all their past and start to put it to the present moment and argue. It's overdoing, unnecessary. And when something you have to do, and maybe they start to talk about a lot of things regarding the future, and you destroy the moment, it's overdoing. So like that, when you come to the reality, what happened, this overdoing disease going to disappear. That's what we need. Whatever you have to just do it, that's, whatever the things you have to do, just finish it. That overdoing mean it doesn't mean you do the physically, it's mentally. The mind, in your mind, you are more ahead. That means then you disconnect the time also. You disconnect from the present moment. You create something else somewhere. And with that, somewhere you already create something. And in that very moment, even if you release the body, and you're going to go into that. That's how the samsara happens. Because our mind always overdoing, our mind is always ahead. Or maybe catching to some kind of memories in the past. So you exist in the present moment, and your mind overdoing maybe catching to the past or the future. And then while it happening that way, you create some mental action with that. And if you die in the moment, what will happen? You're going to go there because you already create it in your mind. Then you will become it kind of like that. So then, and then maybe you can come, oh, then if we think about the heaven and die, you're going to die. No, why? Because that thinking come as a result of, there is a roots. Maybe you have the desire. So the desire come from maybe weak point. Why? Because you are not satisfied in the moment, and that unsatisfaction create the thought about the heaven. And then that's why you're not going to go to the heaven, you go to that unsatisfactory nature. So that's why you can't cheat the nature. No, don't try to do that. So only thing you have to understand how this works. So that way, that when you see the real thoughts that in you and recognize the roots, and that is where you can make it very clear. So the present moment is the most safe place for you. And that is the solution for the disease. And that is the solution for this overdoing. Do things, but don't overdo things. So that way, you are little by little going to release that all the unnecessary things. And then when the eye see something, ear hear something, nose smell something, tongue feels something, body feels something, mind comes with the thoughts. If you be with that, and what does that mean? You get the direct perception. And your mind not jumping here and there. And if you're capable to continue that, the duration, and then you always experience things, but your mind not overdoing. And your mind always be in the present moment. And by the time you understand this mechanism, that's how things come to be as they are. Then you see it's happened as a result of cause and effect. So how the Buddha saw this cause and effect? And it is not a kind of like another wisdom hit to his head and became a Buddha. No, this is how he found out it. Because once he came to certain level of awareness, high mental powers, and he start to see his past. He start to see his past lives. And many hundred lifetimes he went backward, seeing that. And then he understood these things happen as a result of cause and effect, not because of something else. So then what you can do? The same method. Just imagine yourself that whatever the situation you go, maybe for us, we can't do like what the Buddha said, but what the Buddha did. But just we can little bit, try, like, how these preschool children, and work with these little toys. And it doesn't mean maybe it is a flight or it is a car, it's a jet, it doesn't mean they are scientists or kind of like that, but still they have the model. So same thing with like, for us to understand this causality, cause and effect. I give a little exercise for you to do when you have free time, fun time. So how you can do this? You take a paper and write down whatever the situation that you go through yourself. And then go backward. Don't miss the point. Day by day, if you can go by hour, and write down the points. What happened? Related to that incident. What happened? Go backward. And then you will go to the beginning point as you think what is the beginning point. And in that beginning point, look at little bit how it begins. Then you will find another more reasons. And if you capable to go backward like that, then you will see what is this cause and effect. So that is how the Buddha found out about this life, and the karma and the cause and effect bring this all the result. There are more other things, but generally for us to understand and practice for yourself, any situation, take yourself and see, go backward. So going backward power, you need the memory. So how the memory comes? It's not just memorizing. When you have very clear mind, so whatever you experience, itself going to become memory for you. You don't need any extra effort to, oh, I want to memorize this, I want to memorize. No, because when you are engaged 100% in the moment, you recognize it. You're not going to forget that. Why we forget? Because we don't engage in the present moment. Our mind is somewhere else. Then we don't remember what happened. So that's why we need some extra effort to remind. But still, so another way for the meditation, like a tranquility meditation, and another some teachers it interpreter explain it's kind of like a come to the present moment, knowingly what you experience, and it's kind of like a memorizing moment by moment, moment by moment. So that doesn't mean you have the extra effort to memorize what is happening. No, because when you are 100% in the moment, it's going to become your memory. So then when you go backward, you need the memory. So that's how, when you have the very clear mind, you can see what happened. So then you will see how things happen because of some other reasons. So behind this, you don't see any aliens. Behind that, maybe you don't see any previous karma. Behind that, maybe you don't see kind of like, that the unhappy people around your neighborhood, whoever doing this psychic things or mysterious things, kind of, you don't see that kind of things. And maybe you don't see any kind of, astrological, that the change, you just see physical, the cause and effect. So when you're capable to see that within your own life, then you know about the future also. And then you know about the life, and then you know about the others also. So that's why this clarity will take you to that wisdom. So understanding that is the real wisdom. So this practice, little by little, take you to that path. So, but at the same time, you have to remember, it doesn't matter whatever we say, then by yourself, when you take it, you have to refine it, and you have to make it very clear for you to understand yourself, not just by conceptual level. You have to get the real meaning and the wisdom out of this. So that's also very important. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. And your right palm on your left and neck head straight in one line, and be comfortable with your posture. So bring your attention to your body and scan head to toes yourself and say Swapatveva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable, may my breath be more smooth, may no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also think for a moment, this is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime. and detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalations and exhalations. So, in the beginning, deeply and gently breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalations, exhalations happen itself. And when it happens, through the sensation, recognize inhalation as inhalations, exhalations as exhalations. Do nothing extra. Bring my attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe, and also as far as you can through galaxies, other planets, stars. Reminding yourself like this with clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away. Already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all six directions at once. Like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy without any condition, without any limitation. without any resistance or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And also by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata chami sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya buddham pujemi dhammam pujemi sangham pujemi Attaya imaya patipattiya jati jara vyadi maranam ha paribunjissami idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pavanchatu. Bless you.